Will AI create jobs? So this is a question that people have been debating for decades now. And I recently saw a video by Casey Muratori and Dimitri Spenos talking about this very question. And they went in depth on this question and had some speculations about this. And I would recommend watching their video. But I want to discuss something that I haven't seen anyone talk about ever. And that is the mechanism for how jobs are created when we introduce technology. And that will allow us to examine this question: will AI create jobs, or will it destroy all the jobs? So, one thing that for the crux of this argument is we're going to assume that we're living in a future where we have AI that is better than human beings at essentially every single intellectual task. And we will also have robots that are better than human beings at every possible physical task. Everything from the very fine motions necessary to do, say, surgery, all the way up to athletics and martial arts. That you'll have robots that are just essentially better. The same thing with AI. They will be better at every intellectual task. They'll be able to listen better than you. They'll be able to be better counselors than you, and that's what we're going to be assuming for this future time. So we're not going to look at how things are today, because that doesn't matter. Things are going to get better. We want to look at what will happen as the end game. So the mechanism for creating jobs with technology is productivity. That's the way that you create new jobs. And the way that you can think about this is how new jobs were created because of agricultural technology. If you look back at the United States, say 150 years ago, something like 80% of everyone living in the United States lived on a farm. They did agriculture. The vast majority of human effort was to create food, right? To produce food. And if you lived on a farm, you weren't next to a city. I mean, you were probably surrounded by other farms. And a lot of people just never visited a city at all. And so you would just live basically every single day, essentially producing food and then whatever entertainment and so forth that you did for yourself. But there were no computers, there were no microwaves, there were no airplanes or cars. You basically lived just trying to survive. And if you wanted to be a poet or a comedian or well, there's things that didn't even exist, right? Like computer scientist or even mathematician or some things, right? Mathematicians existed. But the average person, if they wanted to pursue these things like music, you just couldn't do it, right? You had to work on the farm. And there just wasn't time. Maybe you could be an amateur person that played for your family or maybe some of the surrounding families, but it just wasn't possible to take that thing that you wanted to do and turn it into a job. With the advent of agricultural technology, that changed. Today, less than 2% of the population produces food for 100% of the population. So you went from 80% of the population needing to be farmers to 2%. So that's a productivity increase of something like 40x, right? 40 times more productive. And that productivity allowed people to turn other things that used to be hobbies into jobs. And that is very obvious if you look at, say, the past 20 years. People now can play games live as a job, right? They do that as their job. They play games live, streaming for other people. If you go back 20 years, the technology to do that live didn't even exist, right? The social media didn't exist, the compression didn't exist, the computation didn't exist, and the infrastructure to have that bandwidth didn't exist. All of that did not exist. Adding new technology allowed us to create new jobs because of productivity. Now, the key to this is that it multiplied human productivity. It made humans more powerful. So we can illustrate this with, say, the spoon and the shovel. If you want to create a new road and you give your construction workers spoons, will they be more or less productive than if you give them shovels? Well, they'll be less productive with a spoon. You want to give your construction workers shovels. And better than that, you would rather give them, say, backhoes and other kinds of big, complex machinery that multiply the human effort. And you can see that here, where if you have less technology, you're not as productive as if you have more technology. But it's important that the technology multiplies the effort of a human being. You still need a human being. Now, the question is, tech typically, okay, so first of all, tech typically makes the human more valuable, right? So the reason why more jobs are created is because humans now are more valuable. It's like, oh, well, I can do 50 times as much as I could before. Well, I need humans. Humans help me build things, right? If I have the tech and I have the humans, I can build things. Now, the question is, what happens when we have AI robots that are better than humans at everything, at every single thing? The answer is humans lose value. In fact, the human value goes to zero. And the reason for this is if you have an AI that can outdo a human in every possible task, whether intellectual or physical, then what would you rather do? You would rather hire the robot than the human. In fact, we can talk about this. Businesses would rather hire the robots that do everything better than you. And the reason for this is the robots will be able to create better products, better services, and they'll be cheaper. If you hire a human, you'll have flaws, you'll have mistakes, you'll be slower, right? They need vacations, they get tired, they'll sue you if they don't like you, right? You don't have any of those problems with robots. Robots will be more efficient. And you can think of this from the perspective of a business. You're going to hire people. Are you going to hire humans that are going to make things more expensive and have lower quality? Or are you going to hire robots which will make things less expensive, right? Well, you're going to hire the robots because that will give you more profit. And then if you're a customer, what are you going to do? Are you going to buy stuff from a company that hires humans or hires robots? Well, you may on principle say, oh, I'm definitely going to buy from the company that has humans. But think about this. Let's say that we have companies that create cars and you have a human company that creates cars. And this is sometime in the future. So a car costs $100,000. And it has flaws and it has maintenance costs and all of these things. Or you could buy a $10,000 car that has higher quality, less maintenance costs, right? What do you think most people are going to buy? Are they going to buy the $100,000 car that has more things wrong with it? Or are they going to buy a $10,000 car that's even higher quality? Right? Most people are going to buy the $10,000 car. And that's the way everything is going to go. Businesses that use robots instead of humans are just going to straight up win, right? They're just going to be better. They're going to be cheaper. They're going to be more efficient. And that means AI robots will ultimately destroy jobs. But wait, aren't we creating jobs right now? And don't we have AI right now? In fact, some of the headlines right now say that, hey, jobs are actually growing. In fact, we're even hiring software engineers. So doesn't this prove that AI will actually create jobs? Well, we don't have AI that can actually replace humans yet. There is no company that has AIs on the side saying, hey, they don't treat AIs like actual employees. They can't just tell them to go off and do things and then have it work. Now, the thing is people are trying very, very hard to do this. But the truth is that we don't have it yet. We only have AI that helps humans. Now, the thing is according to our current hypothesis, we would say that if you have AI that helps humans, that's kind of like having a shovel, right? So right now, AI is kind of like a shovel. In certain cases, it can help people build things faster, right? You can make things faster and perhaps even better than you could before. Let's say with software, you can now have AIs that can do security analysis. And now you can ship safer software than you could before. And you can also use some AIs to develop software. And in certain cases, you can develop software faster than before. And so now you can ship better and faster software, right? Now, the thing that we haven't figured out is if AI is a total plus, right? We don't know what the true cost of building things with AI is yet. But that doesn't quite matter. What we're going to assume is that AI will just get better over time. But for our point is that right now AI is just a tool, right? And AI multiplies a human's capacity. And that means as long as it increases productivity, you should see more jobs, right? And more kinds of jobs. But what will happen is that as soon as we can replace humans, jobs will start going away. And the reason for this is that as soon as you have an AI that is good enough to replace some humans, it'll be very quick to be able to replace all humans, right? Companies will, there will be basically be a switch that will be flipped, right? Because you'll go from having an economy where humans have value, and it's like, hey, we need to hire humans because they actually add value to the company. That's the whole reason why human beings are hired to companies, is they provide value and allow the company to make more money than they would otherwise. So as soon as that flips and robots provide more value than humans, then you're going to see a lot of layoffs, and companies are going to rush to fire as many people as they can and to hire as many robots as they can, because that's how you make the most money. The company that automates with robots first wins, right? And so there will be this big flip that happens as soon as you have AI that's good enough to replace human beings. And for any new job that exists, an AI robot will be better. So the thing is if AI starts replacing all of the programmers and the artists and the musicians and all of that, there's not going to be some new job that's going to come up, right? You're not going to be a yoga instructor because there will be AI robots that are better yoga instructors than you. You're not going to be a construction worker. You're not going to be you're not going to be an athlete, right? All of these things will be done better by robots, right? As soon as we build AI that's awesome, we will be able to build AI robots that are just better than people at everything. And so that means that any new job that does come into existence, there will be a robot that does it better, and you won't be able to provide value. So that means, once again, that AI robots will ultimately destroy all jobs, right? And so this is not happening right now, but this is what we predict should happen in the future if we ever get to the point where we create AI that can actually replace jobs or replace humans. And as far as speculation on my part, I would say that I think sometime in the future, I don't know exactly when, but sometime in the future, we will achieve this, right? There will be there will be AI and robots that are just better than humans at everything at some point in the future. And what that means is we need to start talking about this now. Now, it's beyond the scope of this video to talk about, what should we do about this? But I wanted to go through and intimate, what is the mechanism for creating jobs with tech? And to recap, it was productivity, human productivity, right? If you have technology that multiplies human output, that is what creates jobs because it makes humans more valuable. And this is different. So this is AI that makes humans less valuable, right? So that's why it's going to destroy jobs. So that's the mechanism. That's what I wanted to talk about. And that's basically the end of my talk. So thanks. I will do more programming stuff later.